Hello from Bug Eye Guy, and today I want to just share a little bit about this BN2 Austin Healey 100, a 1956 100 that we've just had the privilege of working on. This is a really beautiful car, not a concours car. It has a few little details that are incorrect, like the paint has too much metallic flake for it to be a concours finish, but certainly a stunning finish and a beautiful car. And what we did on this is probably work on what I'd call the last 20%. That's the place where a lot of British cars kind of stop. People get tired, or they, for whatever reason, don't make it past that hump, and it's in that last 20% where the magic, I think, really happens, and you can make a good car into just an exceptional car. And one of the things we did here that was an example of that is, like a lot of these 100s, this one had a worn, well, they usually have lots of worn belt cranks and linkage issues here on the throttle. These throttle assemblies have all these moving push rods, and you can see it in the right of your screen. That's coming up from the foot pedal, and then it actuates all these other joints. And if you have lost motion at every pivot point, you end up with a pretty lousy throttle response. This one, the main belt crank right in the center of your screen, was really badly worn, so we took off both the manifolds and welded that so that we had a nice positive pivot point. And what a huge difference. Not only is the throttle response markedly better, but we get full throttle now, which helps to bring out the most horsepower, which of course this car with an M kit is a very quick car and a lot of fun. So that's a very satisfying repair. The other thing we did is we put on this blue tonneau. This is a gorgeous Everflex tonneau, a really nice complement for these cars. And of course, tonneau fitting is never the same on two cars. There's a lot of these cars have had the mounting fasteners moved in restoration. I'm not sure if the tonneau is a little bit off. We didn't make this one, but we had to lengthen this tab. This fitting may be intended to be a little further forward by the factory. And then of course, over the years, someone had added two more lift dot fasteners here, which is fine. It helped us pull more tension. They're just not factory correct, so those wouldn't be concours, that would be points off, but they work great and help shed water off here if the car was ever out in a shower. One thing we did restore, which is kind of a fun fact about these Healey 100s, is they used a grommet here. Now you have a lift dot fitting which is identical to the fitting that's right here, but in the case of this one, its mission is to hold this spring, which is for the windshield, the fold down, or the bottom comes forward for the beautiful windscreen angle on these Healey 100s. But this lift dot's sole purpose is to hold this spring. And so what you do on the tonneau is you put a grommet there. That's how the factory did it. The reason being that without the grommet, you'd end up with a potential tear on the tonneau. So that's the correct factory grommet for your Healey 100 tonneau. The other thing that we did, this is a plastic float, which was unfortunately in the tank in the sender. I don't know if you can see at the bottom, there's a little fuel in there. These should be outlawed, but they come with all the sending units, and the seam gets attacked by the ethanol, and then these fill up and become sinkers. If you, we change it to a metal float. The fuel tank on these are really cool. If you're unfamiliar with these cars, the filler neck's in the trunk, which in later Healeys they moved it up to this zone and it came through the fender, but you get the nice clean lines with it done this way. So it's kind of a cool thing about big Healeys. The tank is here. The sender was leaking when we filled up the tank. That's why we removed it, and that's when we found the plastic float. But we resealed and pressure tested that so that when you fill the tank, it doesn't, basically fill that well on top of the tank with fuel. Anyway, a lot of nice improvements for this beautiful big Healey, and that's what we're up to this week at Bug Eye Guy.